Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's video. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, I am Kira and I am obsessed with all things beauty and makeup, mostly makeup. And today we are going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite brands. That is Pat McGrath. Alright, so this is the first Pat McGrath palette I ever purchased. It's the Mothership Diamond of the First Water Eyeshadow Palette in collaboration with Netflix's show Bridgerton. It looks like this. So gorgeous. And I just got this in the mail a few days ago. And I've been loving and playing with it. And it is the Bridgerton 2 palette. It's called Belle of the Ball. Now, I love these baby motherships. I think that they're a hell of a deal. You get 6 shades for $65. And I've actually paid $65 for 4 shades from Pat McGrath before. So there's that. And I do have a mothership. I have the first mothership. I have Subliminal. I want to get Sublime. I think I might be getting Sublime later this year. I haven't decided yet. But anyways, I thought it would be fun to go ahead and compare these two palettes because if you watched my my top 10 eyeshadow palettes for the month of April, you will know that this palette actually was in it. And I don't know if it's going to make it into May. We'll see. But anyways, there is a lot of similarities between these two palettes, and I just wanted to go ahead and side-by-side swatch them and compare them for you guys. I know a lot of other YouTubers have. You can actually see the similarities. So I think how much fun it will be to just swatch them side by side. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first shade in this palette is called Iconic Ingenuity. I think it's supposed to be, but it's Ingenue. And I love to use this as a brow bone highlight. Should I swatch it down my arm or should I swatch it right here? I'll just do right here. It is a nice brow bone highlight. It runs more on the pink tone for inner corner highlights, but it's so pretty, and I always end up reaching into the shade when I grab this palette. The next shade is called Art of the Swoon. It's this one right here. This is actually a satin pink, and I actually heard that you can use this as a blush. I believe it. That is a beautiful blush shade, honestly. And next is going to be my favorite shade. This is the shade Blue, or Regency Blue. So this is actually the shade that made me want this palette. I saw it on Morgan Turner and it was gorgeous. I say it all the time. Morgan Turner is the YouTuber I go to whenever there is something from Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath, or Charlotte Tilbury that I want to buy. And Morgan Turner is hands down the best YouTuber when it comes to luxury makeup. I go to her for everything. Literally, she sold me on the Subliminal palette out of all the other motherships. I love her. Next is Plum Regalia. This one right here. It is a matte, and it's actually the only matte in this palette. And I always reach for this and make a more cool tone look. I've really been feeling roses and cool toned looks lately. So that's why probably I end up reaching for this palette a lot. This is the Duchess Divinity right here, and there is a shade in this palette, the next palette, that is very similar to this one in my opinion, but we are going to see, because I'm going to swatch the palettes next to each other, and then I'm going to swatch similar shades right next to each other further down my arm, because I just want to show you guys swatches of the palette. Next is called Love Match. It is another one of those satin mattes that can be used as a blush shade. I think that this will look gorgeous as a blush shade on deeper skin tone. Because, I mean, like, look at that. Okay, next, let's look into the Belle of the Ball palette. And this is so gorgeous. The names are actually very similar. This is called Refinement. It is obviously going to be a inner corner highlight shade. I'm going to swatch them right next to each other. I mean, honestly, the new one actually leans more gold. I think. This one's very soft and pink, and this one's more gold. Next is the Regency Romance shade, which is this shade right here, which looks very similar to a shade in the first palette, which, again, we will swatch them all together further down the line, but that is it right there. Very muted, but definitely a blush shade. By the way, I didn't want the lipsticks. I didn't want the face palette. I wanted this palette. Next is called Diamond's Desire, and it's this shade right here. This is definitely that same formula as that blue shade that I love, but this is more neutral. So pretty. Oh, so pretty. Gosh, what was I gonna say? I don't like Bridgerton. Never read it. Never seen the movies or shows or whatever. I don't care. I just love Pat Mcgrath, and the colors she picked are gorgeous. This is the shade Forbidden Amour. It is a matte, and it honestly looks a lot like the other one. Oh, wow, but swatched, you can actually see a difference. This is more cool tone, and that's more purple. That's really, even though purple is cool tone, you can tell that there's more purple used in this and more gray used in that. It's really pretty. Next is called Darling Dandy. This is a different formula than that blue, but it's probably going to be more similar to that blue. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. And then I had to get this palette for this shade right here, and it's called Forever Charmed. I heard that Pat Mcgrath loves golds, so because I don't have her Mothership palettes, and I saw a gold in this palette, I was like, I have to have that. So these are the palettes swatched right next to each other. We are going to go ahead and swatch the very similar shades next to each other now. So looking into both palettes, we'll hold them up for you guys. Obviously, the starting shades, the highlight shades, we'll swatch them next to each other, even though you've already seen them next to each other. So, Iconic Ingenue and Refinement. So, they are on my finger. This is Iconic Ingenue, which we'll just swatch right here. Iconic Ingenue and Refinement. I've talked about it. Iconic Ingenue is more pink and softer, and Ingenue is more of a gold champagne. Okay, so holding up the palettes again, obviously this pink shade and this pink shade, the middle pink shades, all look very similar in persons, but you can see the differences on camera, but we're going to actually go ahead and swatch all three. So, Art of the Swoon is going to be on my finger right here, and Love Match is right here. Next is the shade Regency Romance. Okay, so we're going to try and swatch all three of them together. Art of the Swoon, Love Match, and Regency Romance. So there they are together. So Art of the Swoon is very, very light. I think the next time I grab into these palettes, I will actually try these pink shades as a blush. So that looks like a nice blush for me. This is Love Match. This is Love Match. It looks like a very, they're all satin. So they're the same formula. This one looks like a very nice blush shade for a darker skin tone. And then this is Regency Romance. Again, it looks like a nice blush for my skin tone. But these two are the two very similar ones close together. This is Art of the Swoon and then Regency Romance. You can see Regency Romance in the new palette is a lot more pink tone as opposed to the one in the first palette. Okay, so next, looking at the two palettes together, obviously that beautiful blue shade that got me. This is Regency Blue, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Regency Blue. The formula on this is just spectacular. It looks kind of similar to this shade right here called Darling Dandy. I'll swatch them next to each other, but I will tell you right now, just from feeling them, they are a different formula. This is Regency, or not Regency Romance. This is Regency Blue, and then this is Darling Dandy. So, they're kind of similar, but not really. This is more blue. That's going to be more green. Okay, next in the palette is the Plum Regalia shade, obviously. I mean, they look very similar. So, Plum Regalia next to Forbidden Amour. So, here they are on my finger. They're actually quite similar on my finger. I actually have them swatched together up here. So, here is Plum Regalia, which is my favorite, one of my favorite shades to use, just in general. And then Forbidden Amour. You can see, again, as I said earlier, this one has more gray cool tone in it, and this has more purple in it. Okay, and the final two shades I want to swatch next to each other are going to be this one right here and this one right here. So I think it's very similar to the blue. The shades they look actually more similar than the blue and the green, but they're definitely a different formula. This is a different formula than what this is. I think that this shade is actually more of a similar formula to this, and this shade is more going to be a similar formula to the Darling Dandy. So basically, we're going to have pretty much the same thing that we had with the blue, but in a different color. So this shade is called Duchess Divinity. And yep, this is the same formula as that Darling Dandy. And then we're going to go ahead and swatch Diamond's Desire, which Diamond is my birthstone. So they're quite similar actually, but I can see in person the difference. So this is Duchess Divinity. Again, this is honestly more of a traditional shimmer formula in Pat McGrath's formula. So if you're more used to the shimmers, this is the formula you're going to get in this shade and the Darling Dandy shade. Diamond's Desire is going to be right here. This is more of a crystal kind of formula. Like if you're used to Natasha Denona's crystal formula, that's what this is. So this is more cool tone and this is more warm toned. Still super duper pretty. I'm going to say something I don't think I've ever seen people who compare the two palettes say. This honestly goes with its packaging. This is a cool toned palette, which if you think in cool tones, you're going to think blue. You know, you're going to think blue. This is a cool tone palette. This is a more warm tone palette, honestly, in my personal opinion. And it matches the packaging. I'm so happy to have these palettes, and I so recommend them. They are so gorgeous. I have half a mind to get backups because I love these palettes so much. They will never leave my collection. I will never declutter them. They are the most gorgeous palettes I've ever had in my life. And it actually makes me want to get the Rose Divinity palette. I think that's what it's called. Decadence Rose, that's what it's called. Which is a baby mothership like this off of Pat McGrath's website, which if I get Sublime from Sephora in July, I might do that in August. I might order Pat McGrath, Subversive, and the Rose Decadence Rose palettes. But anyways, all in all, do you need both palettes? No. If you have both palettes, I think they're amazing. I think that if you want both palettes, you're gonna be getting them for $110 and you will have 12 shades. So think of it this way. If you get both palettes, if you like both of them, you want to try Pat McGrath's formula, you want to have your own like kind of mothership and these are the kind of colors you like, this is honestly a better deal than the bigger motherships. Because the bigger motherships are going to be a 12 pan, like these two together. But they're $125. If you get both of these, you're only paying $110. All in all, I recommend the palettes. I think they're gorgeous. Pat McGrath's formula is amazing, and there isn't shades that are repeats. I think that these palettes were actually made to coincide with each other, but if you only want to get one palette, I think if you're more into cool tones, this palette is for you, and I think if you're more into warm tones, this palette is for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to end it here. So like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. All that social media great stuff. And I'm going to see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye, guys.